No doubt they'd have preferred a warmer day, but temperatures dropping to -12 didn't deter these hearty souls.
Well, I know one thing for sure today. Mother Nature is definitely a pinstriping Tory. Anybody else would have given us some nice sunshine and some heat, but that's okay, we'll overcome.
Windsor sent about 1,000 demonstrators up the 401, the CAW by far the biggest contingent, though university professors, civil servants, teachers, and retirees like Tony Buxu also made the trip.
Taking all our benefits that I fought and struck for, and now he wants to take them away just by one slash. And that's not right.
A celebration as much as a protest, organized labor credits Mike Harris for one thing, unifying them in opposition. It is a first, an experiment if you like, and organizers were as interested as anyone to see if they could pull it off. There will be other cities shut down, they say, and Windsor may be next. When are you going to bring this little road show to Windsor?
Well, again, that's going to be up to the heads of unions, but as you know, the city of Windsor is a pretty good labor town, and we're going to be soliciting that we're the next one to try and match this one.
There was even a cross-border connection. A busload of newspaper strikers came from Detroit to give and get support from their Canadian counterparts.
It's the same problems everywhere. It's corporate greed trying to take everything that the working man has.
Harris has said the protest won't sway him. That may be, but it seems to have done a lot for the morale of his opposition. Blake Roberts, CBC News, London.
Enough criticism of me and the way I'm doing it.
It was a confident Jack Kevorkian who met the media this afternoon and said it is now time for the medical community to establish guidelines regulating doctor-assisted suicide. Meanwhile, questions about Austin Bastable's death remain unanswered. Kevorkian helped the 53-year-old sufferer of multiple sclerosis die May 6th in the Detroit suburb of Farmington Hills. The cause of the Windsor man's death has not been made public, and neither his family nor his lawyer have been informed. The Farmington Hills Police Department says only that their investigation is proceeding, and the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office did not return calls today. In Pontiac this afternoon, Kevorkian's lawyer had this to say about Bastable.
Can you imagine another red cent being spent prosecuting Janet, prosecuting Dr. Kevorkian, prosecuting other doctors for Austin Bastable? An outrage.
We should learn more about Austin Bastable's death tomorrow. That's when his lawyer, as per Bastable's instruction, will release both written and videotape statements Bastable made just before he used the services of Jack Kevorkian. Blake Roberts, CBC News, Windsor.
If a school bus on rails can fit through it, so can semi-trailers. The Windsor-Detroit rail tunnel may be in line for a major retrofit. A partnership between CP Rail and the Ontario Municipal Employees Pension Fund owns the tunnel. It has a $600 million plan that would see both trains and trucks passing through the tunnel by 2007. It is one of several proposals to deal with the congestion at the border.
It'll be well lit, ventilated in very light colors, and we'll have emergency walkways on both sides. So it'll be a very different look.
About 25 freight trains use the tunnel per day. The plan is to dig a new rail tunnel alongside the existing one and then turn the old one's two tubes into an underwater truck route connecting a secure corridor from Ontario's Highway 401 to Michigan's I-75.
We don't have to move any neighborhoods around. We're less obtrusive on the community. We can implement it quickly because we own the property and we're using existing infrastructure, the existing tunnel, as you see behind me. We also have private investment for 3/4 of the capital required to do the project.
One of the key elements of the plan is a reverse customs facility where trucks would be inspected and pre-cleared to pass into the States. But Windsor West MP Brian Massey says the effectiveness of reverse customs will still depend on having enough personnel to perform those inspections.
The American side isn't putting those resources on it. And if we don't have the people to actually process the vehicles and we don't have a system that's fair on both sides, then we can build as many parking lots as we want. That's the reality.
The rail tunnel plan proponents expect to learn late this year or in early 2003 whether they get the green light and $150 million in government funding they need to start digging. Blake Roberts, CBC News, Windsor. The workers at the Chatham Navistar plant appear to be caught between two key economic factors. There are too many plants producing too many big trucks that aren't selling. The other factor is labor costs. At about $4 an hour US, Mexican workers are more competitive on a labor cost basis. Their Canadian counterparts get paid 5 to 6 times that. One thing the company says the closure of the plant has nothing to do with is what's being produced in Chatham.
The product quality coming out of that operation and the quality of the workforce there has not been an issue for us.
So it came down to those labor costs. The parent company demanded millions in concessions from its Chatham workers, an issue that put them out on strike for 6 weeks this summer. In the end, there just weren't enough concessions made to satisfy the company.
They haven't been able to take that out, so it became an economic decision that in order to stay competitive, they had to move everything to Mexico.
Tom Ryan is a Detroit analyst who watches the heavy truck industry closely.
The biggest part of cost is materials, and if the materials come out to be about the same, you have to look at where are the variable costs, and of course wages become one of the largest variable costs.
I think a lot of people just want to know what the outcome was finally going to be.
I guess it's nice to finally have something, instead of it hanging over your head, good or bad. I mean, definitely bad. So
we had a good run here for a great many years. It's just too bad it had to come to an end.
They're taking our jobs and they're taking them to Mexico, where they can hire people for $4 or $5 an hour with no benefits, no job security, no health and safety.
The Western Star truck plant in British Columbia closed last month too, leaving 2 small Canadian cities devastated. Blake Roberts, CBC News, Windsor.